Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshamam. Krishna, 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 Pahimam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahimam. Okay, so Krishna returns to the Gopis. This is chapter number 32. Okay, and Jai Prakash is going to start us off. So at this point, Krishna had left the Gopis after a short discussion and a short rasa dance with them. And he came back and they had another discussion. And now Krishna is saying, I cannot pay you because of your selfless devotional service. I cannot repay you for all that you've done because you're so surrendered. I just have to do what you say. And their desire was to dance with Krishna. So Krishna is there and he's there to dance with them now. So this is just the final verse of the chapter before we move on to the next chapter, which is called Description of the Ras Dance. Okay, so Jai Prakash Prabhu is going to read first, and then I'll ask others to join in.
Haribol, everybody. The exemplary character of devotional service manifested by the devotees of Vrindavan is the purest type of devotion. It is enjoined in authoritative sastras that devotional service must be ahituki and apratihata. This means that devotional service to Krishna cannot be checked by political or religious convention. The stage of devotional service is always transcendental. The Gopis particularly showed pure devotional service towards Krishna, so much so that Krishna himself remained indebted to them. Lord Chaitanya thus said that the devotional service manifested by the Gopis in Vrindavan excelled all other methods of approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 32nd chapter of Krishna. Krishna returns to the Gopis.
So it's nice to read this just before going on to the Rasa dance, because it just explains how great the devotion of the Gopis really is, how their devotion is so exemplary in its character, how their worship is like unmatchable. Yeah, and we read in the previous week how these Gopis are not ordinary human beings. In their previous life, they were sages, isn't it? Do you remember that? Yeah. And how did they become Gopis? Who were they as the sages? And how did they become Gopis? Do you remember that? So in their previous life, they were sages. They'd actually become perfect in their devotion. Yeah. And they saw the Lord. And which form did they see the Lord in that life? You remember? That was the first thing we read, I think, last week. So the Gopis, they were actually the sages of Dandakaranya. Yeah. Does anyone know where Dandakaranya is? Yeah, it's in India. And which form of the Lord took his pastimes there?
Was it Ramchandra?
Yes, Narayan Kavach Prabhu. Narayan Keshav Prabhu, sorry. Yes, Lord Ramchandra. Do you remember some of the pastime as well?
No, but I do remember something about they wanted the conjugal rasa with well at some point with Lord Ram.
Hmm.
So and he explained to them that when I come as Krishna, then they will have the opportunity.
Yeah, that's it. So these sages, they were already pure devotees, the sages of Dandakaranya. And Lord Ram happened to pass by there with Sita as he was traversing the forest in the Ram Leela, right? And he had taken Ekapatni Vrata, which meant he would only accept one wife. But actually, because of their pure devotion, that awoke this conjugal love in their heart. Even though they were in the form of sages, they love Krishna in the conjugal rasa. In the conjugal rasa, so they got the blessing from Lord Ram directly. He blessed them that in the Krishna Leela, they would all be born in the wombs of Gopis. So they all grew up to be Gopis. And so that desire they had is not just like, they just happened to be walking in the forest and they bumped into Krishna. No, they perfected their lives as sages in the previous life. And then in their lives of Gopis, of course, Krishna has tested them so much as well, isn't it? And there's two words mentioned here in this paragraph, these two Sanskrit words, which are nicely pronounced by Jai Prakash Prabhu. Can anyone say those two words? Which Prabhu just read?
Was it aheituka and aparatihata?
Yes. Ahoituki and apratihata. So these two words, they appear in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto, in the second chapter, text number 6. Second chapter of the first canto is called Divinity and Divine Service. It's such a wonderful chapter, actually. Such an important chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, because the whole chapter really gives us a really clear understanding of what pure devotional service is. Such an important chapter. Because the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, is just setting the scene. But the second chapter is like, it's coming with so many definitions of like what actually is pure devotional service. It's good for us to read and check with ourselves what we're doing is really pure devotional service. And in this particular verse, in first canto, chapter 2, text 6 is Savai pumso paro dharma yato bhaktir adoksaja hoitukiya pratiyata yayatma suprasiddhyati. So these two words Prabhupada is taken from this verse, ahoituki and pratiyata. And what it means is that devotional service, well, I'll just read the full translation of the verse first. The supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So this is one of the definitions of devotional service. We talk about devotional service so much in our in ISKCON, in our Krishna conscious movement, isn't it? So this is a definition of the type of devotional service which the Gopis had. And there's two words. Ahoituki means causeless, and apratiyata means unbroken. Yeah? Causeless devotional service means you're not doing it because you want something back. Or as Prabhupada's put here in this paragraph we read today, cannot be checked by political convention. Yeah, political means like you do something nice for someone with a different motivation, isn't it? That's political, You try and get lots of votes to, say we're going to do this and this and this for you, but you don't tell them how much you're getting for yourself. That's politics, huh? And the other word is Apratihata, unbroken. Unbroken means it doesn't stop at any time. The devotional service, it's not like I have my time for my sadhana and then I'm going to go and watch a movie and play tennis, you know. No, devotional service really means it's unbroken. It's moment to moment, we're always serving Krishna. Every activity has Krishna in the picture. Everything we're doing is in scope of Krishna consciousness. So that's pure devotional service, that stage. Yeah. So here Prabhupada, in this paragraph we read today, calls it religious convention. It's not a religious convention that I have my time on Sunday to go to the church and you know, I ring the bell, have the darshan, you know, observe the arti, and take prasadam and go home, you know. But Prabhupada is saying that it's the supreme occupation, yeah, parodharma. In this Bhagavatam verse, it's the parodharma, supreme occupation. Actually, this is actually what the soul does for a living. The soul is actually the thing that is living, isn't it? Not the body and the mind. And if the soul is the living force in the body, then this is actually the activity of the soul. So everything else which we do is not really the activity of the soul, it's activity for the body. But devotional service is so nice that everything we do, even for the body, can be dovetailed to Krishna consciousness. Even like looking after our families and so on. Yeah. So this is the devotion of the Gopis, pure devotional service, which is causeless and unbroken. Yeah. And so Krishna is very much indebted to the Gopis. He's indebted in that he wants to reciprocate with their devotional service. They're serving him selflessly, and so he wants to give himself to the Gopis. This is Krishna's nature, is very magnanimous. Krishna is very generous, very merciful. Okay, any other thoughts on this nice paragraph we read? Or shall we move on to the next chapter now? Chapter 33. Jai Prakash Prabhu can continue, please.
Chapter 33, description of the Rasa dance. Thus, hearing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna speaking to pacify them, the Gopis became very much pleased. They became completely relieved of the great suffering of separation, not only by hearing the words of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but also by touching his hands and legs. After this, the Supreme Personality of Godhead began his Rasa dance. A dance in the midst of many girls is called a Rasa dance. So Krishna began to dance among the most beautiful and fortunate girls within the three worlds, the Gopis of Vrindavan, who were so attracted to him, dance with Krishna hand in hand.
Yes, so there's an important point made here about how much suffering they went through. Yeah. Do you remember how they explained that suffering to Krishna in the last chapter? What was their prayer to Krishna? It was such an amazing prayer. Does anyone remember at the beginning?
The Gopi Gita, Prabhu, I think it was.
Yes, this is at the beginning of the Gopi Gita. Yeah. So they were explaining how much they were suffering to Krishna. Do you remember roughly how they expressed that? They wanted Krishna to come and save them, isn't it? That's what they were saying. Yeah. So they were saying that Krishna, our suffering is like is going to be the cause of our death. They were saying it's so painful to us, our suffering of not being with you, that it will be like the cause of our death if you don't come and save us. And you save everybody, Krishna, from all kinds of monsters and demons and, you know, mystics. And why should you not save us? This was like how their prayer was. So here is saying how they became completely relieved of their great suffering of separation. Yeah, completely relieved means they've just completely forgotten about it. You know, it was going from one extreme, and now it's going to the other extreme. It's like it never even happened. You know. So, so sometimes people may criticize, like, Krishna is so mean, or, you know, something like that. They don't understand actually how sweet Krishna is. Yeah, they don't understand how kind Krishna is. But actually their suffering was completely gone at this point. See, they went through that, but actually in going through that suffering, what was the state of their heart and their attraction to Krishna?
Separation.
They were feeling more separation for Krishna, yeah. And in that separation, they were actually feeling a greater ecstasy. They were actually feeling more Krishna conscious, you know. They didn't think, okay, I'm going to give up now and go home. But actually, they were so eager to see Krishna that separation was making them more and more eager for Krishna, not that they were becoming hopeless. And it's really important to see this, especially now, because people are going through so much suffering in the world. What is people around us, but even devotees, even ourselves, we go through so much suffering, isn't it? Yeah. But we can try and connect this to Krishna. You see, we, at least as devotees, we can try, because we have an awareness and understanding of Krishna, and we should try and connect that suffering to Krishna, and in the sense that, you know, actually, Krishna, this suffering is a manifestation of me not being with you. This is just one small manifestation of me being separated from you. Yeah. Because actually we don't know what it's not like being with Krishna. We don't know this kind of death-like feeling these gopis had. That's real separation. But we're just getting a shadow, a glimpse of that. And if we can think in that way, that will make us more Krishna conscious, won't it? Yeah. And that's what we want at the end of this life, to be more and more and more Krishna conscious. So Krishna relieves their suffering. How does he do that? Is explained here. Did you read that?
By hearing words from Krishna and also touching his hands and legs.
Yeah. So they had personal contact with Krishna. Yeah. By hearing Krishna. So we can also hear from Krishna. We can also hear from Bhagavad Gita, from Srimad Bhagavatam about Krishna. Yeah. We can also, believe it or not, we can also touch his hands and his legs. We can also have deities. We can also serve the deities. Krishna. But we just have to have that right consciousness, isn't it? Not saying that I have that right consciousness. I'm just saying it's there for us all, including myself. That we have to have that consciousness that actually I can serve Krishna. Krishna is relieving all my anxieties. He's given me his instructions and his personal association in the form of the deity. Yeah, he's given me a chance to call for him through the holy names. And this is not a religious activity. This is activity of the spiritual world. It's not something we do and then, you know, forget about it and then go to the spiritual world. But this is actually the activity of the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, they're doing the same activity. That's what it means. Yeah. Just like on last weekend, what festival did we have? Some of us were fortunate to be able to go. There was a festival last weekend.
Snan Yatra.
Snan Yatra, yeah. And what is the activity in that festival?
Bathing their lordships, Jagannath, Baldev, and Subhadra Rani.
Yeah. So this is like such a special thing, you know, to be able to come in contact with Krishna, to be able to bathe him the way Mother Yashoda would bathe him. So these activities, we have to see them with this kind of vision that they're all really extraordinary activities. So it's always worth remembering, isn't it? Yeah. Anyone else have any reflections? Any other activities we perform in our spiritual life, which are imports from the spiritual world?
Also, I was thinking that without being initiated, you get to do that, and you get to do the Julan Yatra, get close to their lordships, even though you're not initiated. And that is the mercy of Radha and Krishna and Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, that they've given that to the devotees who aren't quite there yet, or people, or just general people who aren't quite there yet.
Yeah. Yeah, the Julan Yatra is another wonderful example. That pastime is straight out of Vrindavan. Yeah, swinging Radha and Krishna on a swing. Yeah, or singing beautiful songs about their pastimes. Yeah. Anything else? Does anyone else have any favorite festivals or activities in Krishna consciousness?
Yeah, Jagannath
Sorry.
Rath Yatra is very good for
Rath
everybody,
Yatra.
for the masses, and they can dance and sing and pull the rath, to the heart's content.
Yeah. And again, that's another pastime straight from the spiritual world.
Yeah.
Because in the spiritual world, who is pulling Krishna in the chariot?
The Gopis?
Yeah. The Vraja Gopis, they're pulling Krishna back from Kurukshetra to Vrindavan. Huh?
They don't want it.
So it's easy to go to these festivals and just like be like, just in the festival and completely forget that it's a completely transcendental activity. No, this is actually what these festivals are bringing us towards: life with Krishna, lifetime with Krishna in the spiritual world. Yeah. All right, so let's continue reading. Jay Prakash, but if you carry one more, and then we can have another reader. Is anyone else going to volunteer?
Krishna's rasa dance should never be compared to any kind of material dance, such as a ball dance or a society dance. The rasa dance is completely spiritual performance. In order to establish this fact, Krishna, the supreme mystic, expanded himself into many forms and stood beside each gopi, placing his hands on the shoulders of the gopis on both sides of him. He began to dance in their midst. The mystic expansion of Krishna were not perceived by the gopis because Krishna appeared alone to each of them. Each gopi thought that Krishna was dancing with her alone. Above that wonderful dance flew many airplanes carrying the denizens of the heavenly planets, who were very eager to see the wonderful dance of Krishna and the gopis. The Gandharvas and Kinnaras began to sing, and accompanied by their respective wives, all the Gandharvas began to shower flowers on the dancers.
Thank you, Prabhu. So how did Krishna prove that this Ras dance was completely spiritual?
He made all the gopis think that Krishna was dancing only with them. So he expanded himself into many fold times. So each gopi thinking that Krishna was only with them.
And at the same time, the Gandharvas and the Kinnaras, they were watching from above. They could see that Krishna was with every gopi. Yeah. So it was actually so. Because from above, that's what they could see. Okay. And does anyone would anyone like to read the next paragraph?
I can read.
Yes, please, Shamrani Mataji.
Hare Krishna. As the gopis and Krishna danced together, a very blissful magical sound was produced from the tinkling of their bells, ornaments, and bangles. It appeared that Krishna was a greenish sapphire locket in the midst of a golden necklace decorated with valuable stones. While Krishna and the gopis danced, they displayed extraordinary bodily features. The movements of their legs, their placing their hands on one another, and movement of their eyebrows, their smiling, the moments of the breaths of the gopis, and their clothes, their earrings, their cheeks, their hair with flowers. As they sang and danced, they combined together to appear like clouds, thunder, snow, and lightning. Krishna's bodily features appeared just like a group of clouds. Their songs were like thunder. The beauty of the gopis appeared to be just like lightning in the sky, and the drops of perspiration visible on their faces appeared like falling snow. In this way, both the gopis and Krishna fully engaged in dancing.
Thank you, Mataji. So our scriptures are so beautiful in their descriptions of the pastimes of Krishna. Not only do they give us so much factual information and philosophical explanation, but they also give us this very beautiful poetic embellishments, this poetic meditations that we can have as well. So there's two nice examples given here, or analogies, which compare the dancings of the gopis with Krishna to these two examples, which we can read now. So what was the first one? Which compares Krishna and the gopis to what?
It compares to a sapphire locket in the midst of the golden necklace decorated with valuable stones. So all the gopis were like the stones, and Krishna was the sapphire in the middle.
Yeah, that's right. So this gold necklace with valuable stones, yeah, and a sapphire locket. So the next time you go to some fancy event and you see one of the Matajis wearing these lockets, you think, oh, that's like Krishna dancing with the gopis, isn't it? Right? That's what will come to mind. Yeah. So these descriptions are really nice because anywhere in the world we see anything beautiful, any form of knowledge, any form of opulence, or anything, any form of Krishna's opulence, we can try and connect it back ourselves. This is what Sukadeva Goswami is doing in his descriptions throughout the Bhagavatam. He's connecting things which we see in the world, ordinary experiences we have in the world, and he's saying, actually, that's like Krishna if you see it in this light, if you see it from this perspective. Like just like these sapphire stones, there's all these sapphire stones and they're all inset into this golden pieces of the necklace, and so that's like Krishna dancing with the gopis. That's kind of his vision, isn't it? And he's sharing that with us. And then what's the second example which he gives?
Is there clouds, thunder, snow, and lightning?
Yes,
Is a
that's right.
combined of, yeah.
And okay, and it goes further, and it describes who is like the clouds, what is like the thunder, the snow, and the lightning. So for anyone else, who is the clouds like?
Krishna's bodily features.
Yeah, the clouds are like Krishna, yeah. And then the thunder.
The Gopis songs.
The
You
Gopi
too.
songs were like thunder. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. And how about the lightning?
The gopis, the beauty of the gopis.
Yeah. Because what color what color is Srimati Radharani?
She's a Gaurangi, isn't it? Golden.
Golden, yeah, molten gold, like melting gold,
And
you know, or like the color of thunder, even flashing thunder color. And what is the snow compared to?
The drops of
The Gopis.
perspiration. Sorry.
Perspiration, yeah, that's right. What's another word for perspiration? Anyone knows?
Yes, sweat.
Sweat, yeah. So the gopis are like dancing and they're sweating, and sweat looks like snow, snow falling from like with thunder and lightning, you know, next to the clouds. I don't know about where you guys are, but last, I think it was Friday, here in Watford, there was just all of a sudden like this torrential rain. Did you guys experience that? Maybe it was Thursday, I can't remember.
yeah, it was here too, in South London too, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Just out of nowhere, right? Just started
Yeah.
hailstoning. Yeah. So I didn't remember this at that time. I was just I left my Tulsi Devi outside actually. I was terrified. I was like, oh no, I left Tulsi Maharani outside. And it's so heavy rain now. She's gonna get spoiled, but she wasn't spoiled, thankfully. But yeah, I was in complete anxiety at that time. I was rushing to get home. And I remember seeing all these people. I was in the car, but I remember seeing all these people on the street were running here and there and everywhere, you know, like complete anxiety because they were all wearing their summer clothes and getting soaked, you know. So here's like another description, isn't it? You know, just a everyday occurrence in the British summer, with hailstone and thunder and lightning and rain. So there's another comparison here, isn't it? With the rasa dance. So the highest, most esoteric thing, you know, and Sukadev Goswami is kindly giving us just, you know, simple ways in which we can remember Krishna. It's very wonderful, isn't it? Okay. Would you like to read the next one, Shamrani Mataji?
Sure, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. The necks of the gopis became tinted with red due to their desire to enjoy Krishna more and more. To satisfy them, Krishna began to clap his hands in time with their singing. Actually, the whole world is full of Krishna singing, but it is appreciated in different ways by different kind of living entities. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Ye yatamam prapadyante. Krishna is dancing, and every living entity is also dancing. But there is a difference in the dancing in the spiritual world and in the material world. This is expressed by the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, who says that the master dancer is Krishna and everyone is his servant. Everyone is trying to imitate Krishna's dancing. Those who are actually in Krishna consciousness respond rightly to the dancing of Krishna. They do not try to dance independently. But those in the material world try to imitate Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The living entities are dancing under the direction of Krishna's Maya and are thinking that they are equal to Krishna. But this is not a fact. In Krishna consciousness, this misconception is absent, for a person in Krishna consciousness knows that Krishna is the Supreme Master and everyone is his servant. One has to dance to please Krishna, not to imitate or to become equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The gopis wanted to please Krishna, And therefore, as Krishna sang, they responded and encouraged him by saying, "Well done, well done." Sometimes they presented beautiful music for his pleasure, and he responded by praising their singing.
Thank you, Mataji. And what is this paragraph teaching us? Anyone? Any of the points you could extract from this?
The source of everything is like Krishna.
The source of everything is Krishna. Yeah. Okay. Could you give an example? Was that
So
Lanisha? Yeah.
yeah. So when they were talking about the dancing in this paragraph, so Krishna is the one who's like the best dancer, and everyone else is trying to imitate him. So
Yeah, Krishna is the master dancer. What a nice expression. He's the best dancer, isn't he? Yeah, and Prabhupada says then everyone is trying to imitate Krishna. Yeah. So this is not a fact, Prabhupada says, isn't it? What is not a fact? What is it that people are trying to do? In this example of trying to
imitate. Sorry, carry on.
They are equal to Krishna. They're thinking they are equal to Krishna. That's not fact.
That's right, yeah. Thank you, Archana Mataji. They're thinking that they're equal to Krishna. Yeah. So you think generally when people want to enjoy, they like to sing, they like to dance. Yeah. And so they're doing that in this material world. But this is actually all imitation of Krishna and his dancing, his enjoyment. Yeah. My usual guest appearance. Yes. So Prabhupada makes another point here. That yayatha mam prapadyante. This means, this is a great quote from Bhagavad Gita, that as one approaches me, I reciprocate with them. Yeah. So most people are thinking that they're equal to Krishna. Yeah. But how about the gopis? How are they thinking? Or the devotees? How do they think about Krishna? Is dancing and dancing with Krishna.
They think of Krishna as their master, so they think of themselves as the servants of Krishna, and they find pleasure in that relationship.
Yeah, that's right. They think of Krishna as the master dancer, and they find pleasure in being the servant dancer, right? It sounds like you could make a whole movement about that. I think someone did that once. What was that called? What's that movement called? Anyone know?
Movement of the master dancer.
Thinking that we're the servant dancers of Krishna. Could that be called Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement? Perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he made a whole movement out of this phenomena that Krishna is the master dancer. So this is actually a quote from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, this explanation which Srila Prabhupada is giving. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Adi Lila, chapter 5, text 142, Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami says, Ekalishvara Krishna Arsabhabritya Yaryaicha Nachaya Sataicha Kara Nitya. Excuse my Bengali pronunciation, not very good. Yeah, so Nritya means, does anyone know what Nritya means?
Dance.
Yeah, that's right. So the translation is, Lord Krishna alone is the supreme controller, Ekaleshwara Krishna. The Ishwara is Krishna, Ekaleshwara Krishna. Yeah, and all others is servants, are Sabhabritya. And then it says in the next line, they dance as he makes them do so. All his servants dance as Krishna makes them do so. Yeah. Just one moment, I have to plug my laptop battery, my laptop in. Hare Krishna. You able to hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Seems like none of our meetings are complete without me having any technical problems with my laptop or anything. Okay. So yes. So we're all Krishna's servant dancers. This reminds me of, when I read this reminded me of one of the famous prayers that Srila Prabhupada made, which is called Markandeya Bhagavat Dharma. Has anyone heard of this prayer before? If you could just show your hands. I'm not going to make you sing it, don't worry. Markandeya Bhagavat Dharma. Has anyone heard of it, this name before? Markandeya Bhagavat Dharma? No? Okay, no problem. So this year is, you know, what's significant about this year? It's a special anniversary year in ISKCON. Does anyone know what this year is?
Something.
It's the 125th anniversary of Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Lanisha. This year is the 125th anniversary of Srila Prabhupada's appearance in this world. His 125th birthday, Vyas Puja. Okay. So this would be really nice if we could all, for this special year, read this prayer which Srila Prabhupada wrote. How about that? It's called Markandeya Bhagavat Dharma. It's a Bengali poem which Prabhupada wrote when he was on the ship Jaladut, coming to the Western world. This was his prayer before his whole movement had started. How did Prabhupada pray? How intense was Srila Prabhupada's prayer? How intense it must have been for Krishna to have fulfilled his desire. Just like the Gopis here, right? Krishna was indebted to the Gopis, right? Prabhupada's devotional service must have been so powerful that Krishna fulfilled his mission. Krishna fulfilled Prabhupada's mission. So this prayer must be super powerful, to say the least. And Prabhupada writes in this prayer, I'll just read one line from the end. So it's a very beautiful prayer, so please try and read the full thing when you get the time. But the one before last verse, I'll just read the English translation. Oh Lord, I am like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance, make me dance. Oh Lord, make me dance as you like. So some wonderful connections here, isn't it? Which Prabhupada is making. Prabhupada is quite elaborately explaining here, isn't it? To us how some people are trying to imitate Krishna in the material world. with their dancing, independent dancing. Yeah, they're trying to be equal to Krishna. But then Prabhupada also writes, on the other hand, those who are actually Krishna conscious respond rightly to the dancing of Krishna. They do not try to dance independently. So my reflection on this was like, Prabhupada, he's also desiring to dance with Krishna in the right way, isn't it? Through this prayer, we can see that. So this prayer is so pleasing to Krishna, and such then Krishna's fulfilled his desire for this worldwide Krishna consciousness movement, ISKCON. So Prabhupada is engaging us all in the dancing of Lord Chaitanya's movement. Yeah, dancing as servants of Krishna. Okay. So much to say about this paragraph, actually. It's really powerful. But we can read on now, unless anyone would like to share actually any more points. And then maybe one more comment if anyone likes.
Yeah,
yes, please.
I was going to say that, talking about dancing, that if you try to imitate Krishna or try to think you like Krishna, then Maya will make you dance. Mentioned here, then you will dance to the tune of Maya. Or otherwise, you can dance with Krishna as your master. So it's your choice. You have the option as a living entity, especially as a human being. You have the choice. You can dance to the tune of Maya or dance with Krishna.
That's right. Thank you for sharing, Prabhu. Yeah, that's very much appreciated. Your comments. Yeah, we can sing to the song of Maya, which is what everyone hears on the radio all day long. We can sing to the song of Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As I said, Gai Gaura Madhu Swarya. Lord Chaitanya sings so sweetly, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yeah, this is Lord Chaitanya's song. Gai Gaura Madhu Swarya. Okay. Shall we continue? Yeah. Okay then. Shamrani Mataji, please.
Sure, Hare Krishna. When some of the gopis became very tired from dancing and moving their bodies, they placed their hands on the shoulders of Sri Krishna. Then their hair loosened and flowers fell to the ground. When they placed their hands on Krishna's shoulder, they became overwhelmed by the fragrance of his body, which emanated from the lotus, other aromatic flowers, and the pulp of sandalwood. They became filled with attraction for him, and they began to kiss one another. Some gopis touched Krishna cheek to cheek, and Krishna began to offer them betel nuts from his mouth, which they exchanged with great pleasure by kissing. And by accepting those betel nuts, the gopis spiritually advanced.
So yes, they're getting direct prasadam from Krishna, the gopis. And even being gopis, they could be more and more Krishna conscious. They were experiencing increasing levels of ecstatic symptoms of serving Krishna. If you could read one more, Mataji.
The gopis became tired after long singing and dancing. Krishna was dancing beside them, and to elevate their fatigue, they took Sri Krishna's hand and placed it on their raised breasts. Krishna's hand, as well as the breasts of gopis, are eternally auspicious. Therefore, when they combined, both of them became spiritually enhanced. The gopis so enjoyed the company of Krishna, the husband of the goddess of fortune, that they forgot that they had any other husbands in the world. And upon being embraced by the arms of Krishna and dancing and singing with him, they forgot everything. The Srimad Bhagavatam thus describes the beauty of the gopis while they were rasa dancing with Krishna. There were lotus flowers over both their ears, and their faces were decorated with sandalwood pulp. They wore tilaka, and they wore drops of sweat. There were drops of sweat on their smiling mouths. From their feet came the tinkling sound of the ankle bells as well as bangles. The flowers within their hair were falling to the lotus feet of Krishna, and he was very satisfied.
Mm. Could you read the next one also, Mataji?
Sure. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, all these gopis are expansions of Krishna's pleasure potency. Touching their bodies with his hands and looking at their pleasing eyes, Krishna enjoyed the gopis exactly as a child enjoys playing with the reflection of his body in a mirror. When Krishna touched the different parts of their bodies, the gopis felt surcharged with spiritual energy. They could not adjust their loosened clothes, although they tried to keep them properly. Their hair and garments became scattered, and their ornaments loosened as they forgot themselves in company with Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So we just have a few minutes left to reflect on this. And it's important to see these statements in the correct light of the Srimad Bhagavatam, as always, because we understand that Krishna is not just an ordinary lusty boy. The gopis are not ordinary girls of this world, right? In fact, as we read previously, the gopis are, or specifically Srimati Radharani, is Krishna's pleasure potency. Krishna, who is completely self-satisfied, yeah, there's nothing outside which God looks for. Krishna is not looking to enjoy with ordinary girls. Yeah, otherwise it doesn't mean that. Otherwise it means that Krishna is not God, because it means that he's in need of something which he doesn't have. That's not the fact. It's important to understand the fact that Radharani is Krishna's pleasure potency. She is the personification of what gives him pleasure. She is coming from Krishna's heart. Krishna's self-satisfied, and therefore his satisfaction comes out in the form of Srimati Radharani, the form of Srimati Radharani. Yeah, his Ladini Shakti. And all the gopis, they're expansions of Srimati Radharani. Yeah. So we discussed this a lot in previous weeks, isn't it? So with that view, we can understand here how every part of the gopis' bodies is exceptionally beautiful, isn't it? Yeah, the gopis are exceptionally beautiful. Just like if we go to a Mayapur temple, yeah, they have on the altar not just Radha and Krishna, but who do they have there on the altar? What is the altar in the Mayapur temple?
Yes, Astasati.
Yeah.
Yes, Sri Sri Radha Madhava Astasakhi. Yeah, so there's so many gopis there with Krishna, and actually they're all exceptionally beautiful. And there's not only 9 gopis, but there's actually millions, millions and millions, and all of them are exceptionally beautiful. Yeah, and they all have their own features, they all have their own dress sense, they all have their own style, and they all have their own character, they all have their preferences, and they all have a unique service to Krishna, which is different from each other. One gopi's speciality is in picking flowers, one gopi's speciality is in collecting water for Krishna, one gopi's speciality is in bringing these betel nuts, another gopi's speciality is in fanning Krishna, and others is in playing music for Krishna and specific instruments, you know. One is singing for Krishna, and in all these different ways. Another one is in joking with Krishna, another one is in like teasing Krishna or criticizing Krishna. So they all have their different specialisms. One of them is better at bringing messages to and from others to Krishna. One is poetic, like that. So it's unlimited, really, unlimited. And Radharani, Srimati Radharani is epitome of all the perfection of all services to Krishna, because she is Krishna's pleasure potency herself. So there's a nice analogy given here in this last paragraph we read, which we'll finish with, so we're up to time now. Yeah. Did anyone see what the analogy was? How Krishna is enjoying with the gopis is exactly like
child enjoys playing with the reflections in the reflection of their bodies in the mirror.
Yeah. So in light of all that we've said, how can we understand this statement? What does it mean?
Is that Krishna seeing himself in the gopis? I don't know.
Yeah, the gopis are not different from Krishna. That's what it means. Yeah. So Krishna is the masculine personality of Godhead. Srimati Radharani is the... What is Srimati Radharani?
Feminine.
Yeah. Srimati
Lady.
Radharani is actually the feminine aspect of the personality of Godhead. So actually they're both the supreme, yeah, in two forms. We worship God in two forms, masculine and feminine. So so this is how it is actually. There's they're not different from each other. Yeah. So just like a child can see himself in a mirror, he sees his reflection and he enjoys that reflection. I've seen with my daughter, she's just 3. And like when she first kind of acknowledged that, okay, this is the mirror, then she was like, wow, I'm there. It was like, I'm here and I'm there, This was like her expression. And then she was like, like doing things like this and patting her head and turning around and looking behind, am I still there? Can you imagine how children are in front of the mirror? Yeah. So this is exactly, she'll be doing peekaboo in front of the mirror, all this kind of stuff, right? So this is exactly how it is, because Krishna is enjoying with his own energies. He's enjoying with his own pleasure potency. There's no pleasure which is outside of Krishna that Krishna hankers for. This is the point. So the child is simply enjoying in front of the mirror their own form, their own image, their own self. Yeah. And so that's exactly what Krishna is doing here. So it's in every way appropriate for Krishna to enjoy with the gopis, because that's who he is. He's Gopi Janna Vallabha. So is there any comments or questions before we wrap up now? Sorry for being a little bit over time. You can just stop the recording here.